All right.
From Vermont to upstate New York, this is The Anything Show with John Francois, featuring Andrew Vanderton of the Lifestyle of a Gay Black Boy podcast. Now, here's that John guy.
Oh, yes, I am that John guy. Welcome, everybody. Sunday, January 30th, as we record this. John Francois here with Andrew Vanderton of the Lifestyle of a Gay Black Boy podcast. Joining me on the line from Rochester, New York. Hello, Andrew.
Hola.
I love it, man. We got a great show coming up for you guys tonight, today, whenever you're tuning into this. Coming up later on, we have a conversation with Jack and Joe from the Derazzled podcast, voted #1 in TV and film on the Good Pods podcasting app. Congratulations to them. Also, I'll be speaking to Coach Monica Aldama of Netflix's Cheer. I tried my best not to fangirl in that conversation, Andrew. So if I do, then feel free to slap me like you never slapped me before.
Oh, I will with a lollipop.
Oh, and then I will eat that with my hairy butt droppings. Ew, that's disgusting. Coming up for our celebrity gossip, Betty White's last message before her death. We're going to hear that. For Let's Get Viral, we're going to hear a guy that does not believe in sleeping on beds. And for headlines, the spam email that was actually legit. Right now, you can listen to and subscribe and follow and rate review The Anything Show with John Francois on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, wherever you get podcasts. Follow us on social media, Facebook.com/The Anything Show, and Instagram and TikTok at Anything Show Francois. Of course, we're also on YouTube. Support for The Anything Show with John Francois comes from our good friends at Mel Science. Now, Andrew, it is so hard to find creative ways to keep the kids busy and screen-free while stretching their brains, especially these days because, COVID-19, it's made all our brains just go cuckoo. Mel Science, it does all the legwork for you so you can spend more quality time tackling projects together and they will not even know they're learning. Right? Yeah. If you don't know about Mel Science, they send you monthly science boxes that are STEM related. In case you don't know, STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. These projects are not only super fun, but also educational. They come with very clear instructions, and the kids can easily follow them along with themselves because there are pictures and everything. I love things with pictures, Andrew. That's the only way I could graduate from school.
Makes it so much easier to see a picture of it. What?
I know. Each set has a different theme and are catered to different age groups. So you got Mel STEM for 5 plus, you got Mel Physics for 8 years old and plus, and you got Mel Chemistry for 10 years and older. So discover meaningful screen time with the Mel Screen mobile app. No more rote memorization. Enrich your Mel hands-on experience with virtual and augmented reality lessons and in-app guidance. With Mel Science, there's something from every kid. And for listeners of The Anything Show with John Francois, Mel Science prepared a special discount, 60% off your first box of any of the subscriptions by using the promo code John, J-O-N. The offer is limited, so get on melscience.com, MEL science.com. Hurry up, start your subscription for kids with hands-on projects, an interactive mobile app, and live classes with professional teachers. All right, Andrew, thank you so much to Mel Science, MEL Science, and shall we get started with some wackadoodle headlines today? Oh my God, I hope I have my headlines music. Go ahead, Andrew.
It's live. We'll get to it.
Yeah, there you go. There's the headlines music. Oh, the music that makes everything go round. Alrighty, what the hell are we doing as a headline? Oh yeah, like we mentioned, this Michigan woman found an email in her spam folder saying she won the lottery for $3 million. Andrew, it turned out to be legit. She logged into her official lottery account, confirmed it, and claimed her prize. So now I feel like all those sketchy Nigerian emails, I'm gonna actually have to pay attention to those because maybe I will win a trip to the Bahamas and have myself 50 new wives.
Yeah. I'm a prince in Nigeria. I'm a prince. Yeah. I have a spam email with it, and I have royalty in my blood.
Oh God! So King Nadatutu, John Francois on the way with Andrew Vanderton. We're gonna claim those 50 wives if there's anything we have to say about it. Alrighty, we have this new study, Andrew, that just linked unwanted body fat to our grandparents' smoking habits. They said specifically that grandfathers who started smoking early, if you had a grandfather that started smoking before he turned the age of 13, Andrew, you're more likely to be overweight. I don't know if you've experienced this with your grandparents. Me, whenever I saw my grandpa, I just wanted to smoke the cigarette itself.
You know, my grandpa smelled like cigarettes all the time. I'm pretty sure he started smoking at like 10. And he always had one of those cool little pipes that was shaped like a boat. Oh. And I credit him for me wanting to smoke now.
Did he have the smoking jacket too? And he had like the very old man kind of slippers, the ones where it shows like half of your feet?
Yes, he had the jacket. He had that. He had the table lighter, this big chunky lighter that would only light a cigarette.
Oh, my God. I love my grandpa. Rest in peace. And, you know, maybe part of why he died is because he was smoking so many cigarettes. Luckily, in like fourth grade, Andrew, I found out from my teacher that smoking can kill you. So I am very fortunate that I did not take that road that my grandfather took. All right, let's see. Oh, my goodness. Let's talk about poop, pee, and vomit. That's a great thing to talk about as you're eating your dinner right now, listening to the podcast. There are 96 bags of poop, pee, and vomit on the moon, Andrew. Astronauts from the Apollo missions left them there to reduce the weight of their shuttles so they'd be able to bring back moon rocks and core samples. So along with the fact that there's no air up there, there's another reason why we should not take off our astronaut helmet on the moon.
I can only imagine what poop that old in space looks like when it's probably irradiated. What if it turned to gold?
Ooh.
Oh, my God.
And then you could sell it in California, home of the California gold rush. And maybe it won't smell anymore because, you know, sometimes, and I know this from the cat poo in the house that I live in, you know, you let poo just formulate and dry up over time, and it turns into a chewy Kit Kat bar. No?
Oh, wow.
No?
I'm sorry. I glitched for a moment.
Oh.
I glitched for a moment thinking about a chewy cat turd toy.
Oh, okay. I thought you were I thought you were so outraged by my comparing poop to a Kit Kat bar that you were just like, you know what? I'm not going to even speak to this bitch anymore. Forget it.
I do take offense as Kit Kat's representative, but woof.
Yeah.
That whole analogy just put me in a headspin.
Oh, Lord. Andrew, how long do you consider a long car ride? Tell me the amount of time.
About 8 to 9 hours.
Jesus Christ, you have a tolerance like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I like that. Well, in a recent survey, Americans actually said, for the most part, 3 hours is what they consider a long car ride, followed by 2, followed by 4. I mean, for me, it's either 2 hours or when my ass starts hurting. You know how you've been on a road trip for a long time and you could like feel like literally pain in your butt, like your ass, like the bones are, it seems like they're just shutting down. You know, they're shutting down, they're giving you cramps, and you just want to you go anywhere. Even if it's in the middle of the highway, you just want to stand up and stretch.
I know exactly how it feels. I love taking road trips, so for me, being in a car in a long time is not bad. I kind of enjoy it, but after that 9th hour, I'm like, get me out of here, especially if other people are in the car and I can't listen to my music. I'm panicking.
Exactly. You know, we have common food-related arguments with our significant others, and of course, great, this in time for Valentine's Day. In a recent survey, the most common food-related arguments that couples have are where to go out to eat, one person not cooking enough, and messing up a recipe. Now, Andrew, please tell me your experience from your most recent relationship, or any relationship from your past. For me, the one that hits home is the one person in the relationship that does not cook enough. That is me. I am fortunate to have a girlfriend that loves cooking, and she seems to be fine with me not contributing any cooking because, one, I'm lazy, and two, my cooking is like a crappy bachelor takeout mess compared to hers. What about you? What was the dynamic like in your previous relationships?
My previous relationship, the biggest one was with my fiance. He would always cook and then expect that I would clean the dishes afterwards, and I hated it. I'm like, I don't want to do that. You cook, you wash your dishes, but those are fun arguments too. At the same time.
Yeah, I guess so. You know, honestly, I would do dishes any day over cooking because for me, unlike other people, dishes is actually therapy to me. There's something very calming and intimate and solitudious, if that's even a word, about washing dishes. So if you and I are in a relationship someday, Andrew, please cook a 7-course meal, and I will wash 5 days worth of dishes if you want me to.
I got you. There's just no more meat. Just so you know.
Ooh, there you go. Red wine. Oh my God, red wine. They say that if you drink 4 to 5 or more glasses of red wine a day, not only are you an alcoholic, but you also have no chance of getting COVID-19. Now, okay, maybe I should correct that. A 17% chance or a 17% lower risk of not having COVID-19. As I mentioned at the beginning of the last episode of the podcast, my girlfriend Tony came down with COVID. As of now, a week later, she is feeling a lot better. I think she's still positive, but pretty much her symptoms seem to be gone. But if she only drank red wine, Andrew, I think she would have been out of the gate and wouldn't have had to quarantine for however long she did.
I just want to know what wine company paid for the survey. This sounds like Red Cat or Barefoot Moscato scientists came up with it.
It's Bullshit Wine Incorporated. Brought to you by...
I mean, if that's the case, I should never get COVID, ever.
Yeah, I guess. All right. Well, we have this 19-year-old guy in England who says he doesn't have nipples anymore. And this actually brings up a good argument about if guys don't even need nipples in the first place, because obviously we know what the purpose of girls having nipples are for. But for guys, this guy having his nipples cut off because he had a dare that he felt like he had to accept that involved spraying his nipples with 2 full cans of Axe body spray. And he says the cold froze the nipples to the point where they just broke off. Look, Andrew, first of all, I do not put anything on my nipples but water. I mean, do you expose your nipples to anything else but water?
Yeah.
Oh, care to share, or is that too X-rated for the podcast?
I mean, electric shock is still PC, right?
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're not literally talking about the electric chair in a prison center, sure. I mean, if you're talking about sexual purposes, I guess that's fine. What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, I guess in the chair too, you could get a little tingle. Who knows?
Yeah, tingle, tingle on my shingle. Well, and also, I think the moral of the story is do not use Axe body spray. I don't know if you had experiences back in the day, Andrew, with Axe body spray, but I found that not only is it itchy and makes your armpits just seethe with sweat, but you also just smell like a sweaty teenage boy 24/7 with it.
When I read this and it said 2 cans of Axe body spray, the fact that this person had 2 cans lets me know they are either super young or do not function well in life outside of their house.
Yeah, they don't. They need some help. And frankly, we need to put them in some bell bottoms because that might be a better alternative than having Axe body spray on their nipples. This next headline, bell bottoms. I guess they're back. Bell bottoms, a big fashion trend back in the 70s. Target, they actually sell, they're actually starting to sell a woman's version of bell bottoms, Andrew, called Extreme Flare Jeans. And I'm really waiting for the men's version because I have these jeans. I always have jeans that are just a little bit too big on the bottom pant leg where it just goes under my shoe and you have to end up folding up the bottom of the pant leg so that you're not dragging your feet with your jeans. And bell bottoms, if I'm not mistaken, Andrew, bell bottoms, they go kind of slightly above your ankle and they kind of spread out like a dress. I feel like I might be able to rock that.
I think you can rock them. I love bell bottoms. A bell bottom pant is always cute, but they already exist. These pants already exist. You can go get them at any store and not pay half your life savings for them.
Really? I don't know what store you're talking about. You're talking about the bell bottoms store of Jersey?
Well, I mean, I wish there was a bell bottom store. But if you go to Walmart, Target, order from Levi's online, go on Amazon. White leg boot cut jeans are the exact same thing as what these are going to be.
All righty. Well, while I'm getting my bell bottoms, I guess I'm going to be getting my Twizzler straws because right now, for people like me who hate paper straws, Reddit just inspired me with this idea. Use candy instead. Someone proposed it. They said that you just bite the ends off of a Twizzler or Red Vine and drink your drink through that instead of a paper straw. Now, Andrew, do you have this problem with paper straws? When you drink through them, you end up chewing a bit off the paper straw and you accidentally swallow it?
No.
No?
No, I'm sorry.
Is it just me? Oh my God, I feel like a weirdo.
I've never had that issue, but I don't like paper straws at all. I only use plastic straws.
Yeah. Well, is plastic straws the one that's bad for the environment or paper straws? I don't know. I have no idea what the environment's all about.
Plastic could be, but there's bigger contributors to plastic than straws in the ocean. So it's like give or take which one you're going to go with.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Either way, I'm not going to do this Twizzler straw idea because I don't want my ginger ale tasting like a Twizzler. That was loud. Oh, God. And did you like that southern twang that I added to it? My ginger ale, it's not going to taste like a Twizzler, y'all.
I love it.
Yeah. It makes me want to, I don't know. Do a line dance and have sex with my cousins. That's what they do in the that's what they do in the South still, right?
Yeah, that's a regular Sunday service at church.
Oh my God! All right, if you have a headline, a cousin sex story, a piece of celebrity gossip, I don't know, who knows? Send it over Facebook.com/TheAnythingShow or Instagram and TikTok at Anything Show Francois. John and Andrew here. Got a great show coming up. Like I said, coming up later on, Derazzled podcast hosts Jack and Joe, the #1 TV and film podcast on Good Pods. They're going to be joining us in a bit. And, oh my God, Monica from Netflix's Cheer. I loved my conversation with her because I actually watched the show. I actually did my research for this, Andrew. So I feel like a good boy. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And what do good boys get? Good boys get viruses, don't they? I'm trying to figure out.
Oh, I was going to go with a spanking, but if we're transferring viruses.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Let me transfer that virus particle to your particle, if you know what I mean. Oh, it's time for Let's Get Viral, y'all. The viral videos of the week right here on The Anything Show. Let's start off with a woman's story about her boyfriend's very weird sleeping habit. It is going viral on TikTok, as are many millions of other things. Let me see if I got the right one here. Oh, yeah. So apparently this guy, Andrew, does not believe on sleeping on a bed. He likes to sleep on a nest of clothes.
My 24 female boyfriend, 25 male, sleeps in a nest of clothes and towels and refuses to buy a bed. I was amazed to see in his bedroom there is no bed. Instead, there's a huge pile of clothes and towels in the middle of the room. He showed me how he does it, and he kind of curls up into a ball in the middle and piles some of the clothes and towels on top of him. That's how he sleeps.
Yeah, Andrew, what are your thoughts on this? Because I thought, hey, this is a great way to save money, but also not a great way to maintain the sanity of your muscles.
I'm in pain. I'm old, and I feel like that would hurt me to sleep like that.
Yeah.
But I see the genius in the idea of building a cocoon of cloth around you as you sleep. So why not just go get blankets?
I guess. I don't know, man. I mean, beds are expensive, yes, but I don't know if I'd get to a point where I'd be like, hey, dirty laundry, come to Papa. Let me sleep on you.
Let me sleep on those, on the bell bottom.
Yeah, I guess. Alrighty, we got someone who just turned 110. I don't know if I told you this, Andrew, but my dream in life is to live until the age of 100. However, I don't know if I want to be so old that I forget how old I am, such as this woman who is so old at 110 that she doesn't even know that she's 110.
Get older on your birthday?
Yes, how old are you?
I have no idea.
110.
What?
110 years old.
10?
110.
I don't believe that.
No, you look like you're 21.
Why, sure.
And just as beautiful as ever.
Why, sure.
Yes.
I love the granddaughter, Andrew, who clearly sounds like the most condescending young person ever. Hey, this is what Jell-O looks like, Grandma. Oh, you look so great, Grandma. Can you hear me? Can you hear the words that I'm saying? I mean, could she be more obvious?
Right. I don't ever want to be that old. I would have been looking at her like, would y'all pull the plug? Do not celebrate another birthday today.
Yeah. Just give up at this point. Alrighty. Obviously a lot of people have felt like they wanted to give up during this pandemic, especially moms. Oh God, I can't only imagine what moms have had to go through these past 2 years, juggling work and having to, babysit and keep their kids entertained while they're pretty much stuck at home for the whole time. Doing remote learning. And I guess in Boston, there's these group of moms that just said to themselves, hey, let's form a nice little group where we just go out into a sports field and just scream our frustrations out. So I give you, Andrew, this brief frustration of moms screaming. Did you hear the force in that scream, Andrew? Did you hear the sound of like 56 angry moms all at once?
That sounded like Jurassic Park dinosaurs. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Is that T-Rex? Nope, it's just a bunch of middle-aged estrogen. Oh God. This is gonna be you at the door. Go ahead.
I can just hear the frustration of them yelling at their kids coming out in those screams.
Yeah. Timmy, please put your pants on. Oh my God. I feel like that's just like a stock clip that we should use for everything. So speaking of moms, I guess this mom filmed her daughter saying Pinocchio. And the daughter's having a hard time saying Pinocchio, Andrew. And I guess the mom was like, trying to like divide the word up into 4 sections for her daughter. And this is what she came up with. I mean, the daughter, unfortunately, ended up with a massive failure.
P. No. Key. Oh. Pinocchio.
Yeah, peekaboo. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly close to Pinocchio, right?
Oh, she's officially the cutest baby ever.
Mm-hmm. Love it. All right. Wow, this might as well be like the Mother's Day show because we have another mom-themed video. Our last viral video of the week right here on The Anything Show, we got a mom who got her kid's birthday wrong for 2 years until her own insurance company had to set her straight. This was another one that went viral on TikTok.
I just got off the phone with my pediatrician. She's trying to bill our last visit to our insurance company. Per my words, my son's birthday is the 26th. I'm his mother. I know his birthday. The insurance company says no. His birthday's on the 25th. So she's calling me to, get that squared away. So, I'm about to call on my insurance company to let them have it. And I say, maybe I should scroll back Facebook to look at the birth announcement years ago to make sure. I just got done doing that. And his birthday is indeed the 25th. For 2 years, I've been celebrating his birthday on the 26th. And now I have to call my pediatrician back and say, you know what? I had my kid's birthday wrong. You want to know the worst part? The worst part. It's my middle child. It's my middle child. I have a mommy date with my middle child today. I love my kids, okay? I love my kids. They may not have their birthday celebration on the correct day, but they celebrated the next. Okay, Christmas is over.
Okay. All right. So many things about that video. One, I mean, this mom might have had a little too much. She might be a great addition to this course of moms. So, and also, that's a great insurance company, Andrew. I don't know about you, but I would love to have an insurance company that cares and knows about me so much that they would remember my kid's birthday better than I do.
That is so awesome. I feel so hilariously sad for the middle child. It had to be the middle child whose birthday you did not know.
Yeah.
That's the worst part of it.
Yeah, and speaking as someone who is the oldest of 3 children, my sister being the middle child. Yeah, she's probably listening to this right now and feeling that middle child thing. Just that sense that you're not appreciated. The oldest, oh my God, my firstborn. The youngest, oh my God, you're my youngest. The middle child, just get me some cake or something.
It's like, yeah, we got it right. You're good.
Yeah. Nothing you can really say about the middle child. Alrighty, that is a look at our headlines, y'all, right here on the Anything Show. Andrew, say something random while I try to find the viral music to close this out. Just say something like really sexual.
Oh, pickled pig feet dildos.
Ooh, pickle. Okay. Pickles pig feet dildo. Andrew, can we have that as the name of the episode? Can you write that down? Write that down on the document. Do you have access to the document that we're looking at right now for the show?
Yes, I got you.
Put that in big letters on the top of the document so I don't forget. Pickles Pig Feet Dildo is probably going to be the name of this week's episode. Andrew always has the brilliant ways to come up with things. Alrighty, if you have fun,
it just comes out.
It really does. Just like a dildo, it just comes out. It really does. Alrighty, that's your viral videos of the week right here on The Anything Show. If you have a viral video, you can send it to us at facebook.com/The Anything Show, Instagram and TikTok at Anything Show Francois. John here with Andrew. Coming up, we have our celebrity gossip. But before we do, let's acknowledge more sponsors that make the Anything Show possible, such as Disktopia. If you want to be a podcaster and you want your thing uploaded on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, blah, 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 all at once, Disktopia, Disctopia. It is the podcaster's paradise with more features and flexibility than any other platform. From unlimited storage and uploads to multiple networks, Disktopia has it all. They got private or exclusive episodes that you can upload, which they will pay you for. You can distribute your podcast everywhere via RSS. And, for those in the podcast audio field, you probably know what that means. You can set up your own podcast profile page. You have the ability to manage multiple episodes, embeddable episode web player, all on a secure site. Andrew, unlimited downloads from your listeners and unique listener reports, just so you know every single thing about your listener, such as what hair they wear to what makes their toenails scream, yeah.
Ooh, screaming toenails.
Screaming toenails. Write that down. That may be another episode name idea. Web player analytics are all integrated with the best technology analytics. All on top of that, you get 24/7 world-class customer support. Disktopia will give you creative freedom for all your podcasts with integrated merch. Just upload it all into one place, and then you can set your content to be downloadable or even stream only. Disktopia, I tell ya, Disctopia. It's the podcaster's paradise. If you want to be a podcaster like me and Andrew, please go to Dystopia and they will get it going for you. Support for The Anything Show also comes from the Why Do We Say That podcast. It is a father and son podcast where they explain the meaning and etymology. Andrew, can you read that word for me? Because I have no idea what the fuck that word is. The etymology.
I'm sorry, I was just typing our screaming toenails at the top of the doc.
Yeah, Andrew's like multitasking. Wait a minute, what do you want me to do? Say or talk about screaming toenails? Which one, John? Which one?
The etymology.
Yes, whatever that means, of everyday phrases and why do we say that. You know what? I loved an episode that I listened to back in October of Why Do We Say That, the podcast, Andrew, where they explain the meaning behind phrases such as flash in the pan and great minds think alike. Now, great minds think alike. I mean, Andrew, you and I think there are many times where we actually think alike.
Yeah, there are tons of times when we think alike. I bet you're thinking about the bee's knees right now.
Yes. I'm going to say that just for the purpose of making this podcast look good. Yes, I was talking about bees stinging my knees. So there you go. All right, season 1 of Why Do We Say That, the podcast, available now. Season 2 is going to be available soon. And man, if you have not checked out their world famous game show, Word or Not a Word, honestly, a bee should sting your knee. Am I right, Andrew?
Yes, that bee's going to get all up in that tendon of the knee. That sounded really weird.
I mean, it's really not the weirdest thing that you said on the podcast, so I think you're fine. I think it belongs in the wonderful collection of Andrewisms.
Well, I like that. Andrewism.
Yeah. Maybe that'll be another name for the podcast episode. Write that down. I'm just giving you like endless podcast name episode ideas.
This is titillating goodness.
Yep. Alrighty, thank you so much for our partners for sponsoring the Anything Show as they would. And right now, let's do some celebrity gossip, shall we?
Yeah.
Ah, yes. Talking about celebrities. Yeah, I'm really acing it on the very upbeat, rhythmic, gay bar kind of music, Andrew. Don't you think?
Yes, this is like the pre-gay bar at the Broadway show where everybody's fancy before they get drunk.
Oh yeah, I love it. All right, let's start off with Betty White. I know she died on New Year's Eve. It seems like a million years ago now, but you know what? Recently, this video came up. Betty White recording her, I think pretty much her last video message before she died on New Year's Eve. And, you hear the sort of weakness in her voice that suggests that she's been living a while. So pardon that. And just take in the sweetness that is Betty White.
I just want to thank you all for your love and support over the years. Thank you so much. And stick around.
Yeah, so she recorded that shortly before she died, and it was pretty much to commemorate her 100th birthday and to thank people for commemorating and recognizing the fact that she would have lived a century. So what do you think about that, Andrew?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's Betty White. It really touches and pulls at my heartstring.
Yeah. You know what also touches and pulls at my heartstring? Hugh Jackman, Wolverine himself from the X-Men. Oh, my God. Would I love to claw his Wolverine pubes. Whatever that even means. Anyway, Hugh Jackman, a big fan of football, and he was really pulling for Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get it to the next round of the playoffs. And obviously, we now know that they did not make the playoffs. This is Hugh Jackman's message that you were hoping would have gotten Tom Brady to another Super Bowl ring this year.
Tom, we both working today. I think yours might be a little tougher than mine. But anyway, I just want you to know I'm a Giants fan, but I'm representing TB12. TB. I love it, brother. Thanks, man. Crush it today.
And as we speak, Andrew, on Sunday, January 30th, did you hear that trending story that sources have said that Tom Brady is retiring after 22 seasons? But then now it turned into Tom Brady and his camp have not really confirmed. So we really don't even know. I mean, he's arguably the greatest player in football, and we may or may not know that he's retiring at the moment.
I'm not the biggest fan of Tom Brady, but he's like at every Super Bowl. Like every month he's at one of them. So it's been enough. He can stay home.
Yeah, he's like in his mid-40s at this point. He has 7 rings. Like, what more can you want? Just stay home with your family. Leave us alone, Tom Brady. And this is coming from a guy who is in New England. Yes, as a New Englander who had him for the Patriots for God knows how many years, like 20 seasons. Just go home, Tom Brady. Go away.
Yeah, just go enjoy your life. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Martha Stewart. I love how Martha Stewart is telling us how we should and should not drink wine. Martha Stewart, Andrew, gave us the okay to put ice in our wine. She says, quote, nobody minds it anymore, even fine winemakers, end quote. I think I can make my own wine decisions without your approval, Martha. Have you been putting ice in your wine, Andrew?
I have been putting ice in my wine since I got that communion. So, Martha, you're late.
Wait, since you got that communion? Is that what you said?
Since the first time I had communion, there was ice in my wine.
Wow.
So, she's late.
And for those not in the church community, communion is basically when you are in church. And I think this maybe only applies to Christian church services. I could be wrong. But, you have a little bit of wine. You have a little bit of dry cardboard that's supposed to act as bread. The bread is supposed to symbolize Jesus' body, who died on the cross for us. And the wine is supposed to represent his blood. And I don't know, did you ever have a great tasting bread for the communion, or did you have it rough like I did?
So one place I went, you got this little vacuum sealed cup with this dry cardboard and the wine in it.
Yeah.
And then the other one, they were serving Moscato, and it was delicious.
Yeah, you just wanted to save all that wine. You didn't even want to drink it during communion. You just want to be like, you know what, girl, I'm going to put it in my pocket and save it for New Year's Eve.
Look, all I knew is I was 12 years old and I was drinking wine with my pinky up for Jesus, and I was happy.
There you go, bougie for Jesus. Come on now. I love it. All right, Peter Dinklage. I think you said you've been watching Game of Thrones, right?
I love Game of Thrones.
Yeah. So Peter Dinklage, the dwarf actor from Game of Thrones, he says it's hypocritical that Disney is remaking Snow White with a Latina lead while still making what he calls, quote, that effing backwards story about 7 dwarves living in a cave together, end quote. Now, what do you think about this story, Andrew?
Disney is just terrible. They own the world, and I don't like them. But I agree 100% with Peter Dinklage. Why are we not casting this movie the right way and breaking the stereotype?
Yeah, it's for me, I'm actually kind of torn about this because on the one hand, I feel like it's such a story that is so outlandish, so out there, so far removed from reality that for me, it's always been accepted as fiction. But at the same time, speaking as somebody who hasn't been exposed much to the dwarfism community, like I wouldn't know from their perspective, like what it's like to be seen as like, oh, you're one of 7 that live together. All dwarves live together in one house. They're not their own separate person. That's what they are in real life. So, I think Peter Dinklage may be hitting on an interesting point here.
Yes, I agree.
Janet Jackson says Michael used to tease her about her weight, calling her names like pig, horse, slaughter hog, and cow. She says they would laugh about it, but then there was like somewhere deep inside Janet where she was just like, oh, damn, that hurt. And you know what? This is actually surprising to me, Andrew, that this would come from Michael, because to me, Michael, while Michael did have like sort of a playfulness to him, based on the sort of fragility about him and the fact that he seemed like a very kind, soft-hearted person, I just never would take him as somebody who would hurl fat jokes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like, I would never imagine him being that way. But then I listened to an interview about when they made Scream together and how Michael kind of antagonized Janet about her voice until she finally recorded it. And it sounds like they would kind of antagonize each other in a friendly way, like brothers and sisters do. But it does suck that it really hit a nerve for her that stuck.
Yeah. And you know what? Maybe this will be touched in the Janet Jackson documentary that I believe, like, as we record this on Sunday, January 30th, it's been playing this weekend on Lifetime and A&E. And this is the moment where it sucks to not have cable because I really, really, really want to see that documentary. And I think you said so, Andrew, too, because you're also a Janet fan.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can find it to watch tonight. I'm hoping it's really good because I'm a Janet fan. But then I'm scared because it's a Lifetime movie, and they have not done too good with like the documentary biopic.
Yeah, I heard mixed reviews about that Wendy Williams documentary that they did on Lifetime not too long ago. So, yeah, we'll see when the reviews come out. Alrighty, well, we have the HBO series Euphoria, which is getting some criticism from DARE, D-A-R-E, which, if I'm not mistaken, is an organization that tries to bring awareness to, remind me what it brings awareness to, Andrew?
DARE is about drug resistance and community safety for children.
Gotcha. So DARE is criticizing the HBO series Euphoria because they think that it glamorizes drug use, addiction, anonymous sex, violence, and other destructive behaviors among teens. And they would actually like to meet with HBO to present their concerns directly. Here's my problem. I don't think that it is any TV show's responsibility to worry about what they're doing to their teen audience. I know it may sound kind of screwed up to some conservative-minded parents listening, but I've always felt that, when it comes to your teens' well-being, their safety, that should be left up to the parents and the teachers in real life. And for a TV show to have to stifle or affect their creativity because of like, oh my God, like, we got to worry about the parents and what they'll think, about their teenagers being exposed. I don't know. I just think it should not be the responsibility of these producers and directors and writers,
I agree. It definitely should not be a TV show's and actors or a TV network's responsibility to teach and guide children. My issue with DARE is their campaign itself was essentially the Just Say No campaign, revamped for 90s kids. And being a part of that, and what they would promote as non-glamorization of drugs, is not a realistic view of what drug use, drug resistance, or peer pressure really is. And if anything, Euphoria, which I've watched the show, and as somebody who has done a lot of drugs in their life, it actually gives a very accurate representation of what can happen if you do drugs, which I feel is far more healthier to people to learn that this can be a thing and how to address it, as opposed to just cutting it out and saying no.
Yeah. Well, time will tell. Time will tell. I mean, I've been aware about Dare ever since middle school. So, and of course, you have those like PSAs and commercials from Dare, which paints like a dark view, like, oh, this is what your child is like on crack or on pot, and it shows a picture of like, I don't know, like some clapping cymbal monkey to represent that your child is going to become a clapping cymbal monkey if they're on crack. They make it so over the top that you're just like, whoa, okay, all right. I guess I should not have joy at all in my life.
Very true. The one, though, with the girl melted into the couch because she smoked pot, I just want whatever she smoked. Whatever she smoked must be very good.
So, I mean, they're basically like the PETA for like teen drug and sexual awareness, aren't they? They just really like make it over the top.
They really do. And unfortunately, one of their campaigns is so problematic now, watching it back, for anti-smoking, where they associated smoking with being gay and in the closet.
Oh, Jesus.
And they have some very backward views in the DARE program.
Oh, my Lord. Whew. Well, there you go. What a morbid ending to our celebrity gossip. Oh, my God. Oh, God. Ain't that a transition? We go from smoking causes homosexuality to, oh, let's dance, gay bar, let's dance.
We're smoking.
But you know what? What better middle finger to the DARE program and those backward views than to have gay bar music? You know what I'm talking about?
Perfect.
Yep. Celebrity gossip. If you have a gossip piece that you want to send me and Andrew, Facebook.com/TheAnythingShow, Instagram and TikTok @AnythingShowFrancois. John Francois with Andrew Vandertunt. Coming up later on, we got a great conversation with our friends Jack and Joe from the Derazzled podcast. They review, I think, mostly terrible TV shows and movies. They were voted #1 in TV and film on the Good Pods podcasting app, so that is well-deserved. We're going to talk to them. And coming up right before that, I'm going to have a conversation with Monica from the Netflix docuseries Cheer, which is getting all the buzz. Andrew, before we go to the Monica conversation, Lifestyle of a Gay Black Boy podcast, your podcast, what is the latest?
Yes, so the latest is I just got to have my conversation with Edgar Gaines, former porn star, now turned pastor. And that's going to be going up shortly. And then also another conversation with my friend Danny. We're talking about healthy kink choices and safety in the BDSM world.
What?
That'll be quite fun.
So a very naughty, sexy, interesting, thought-provoking episode of Lifestyle of a Gay Black Boy podcast we have to look forward to.
Yes, with a sprinkle of Jesus.
Okay, just a little sprinkle of Jesus. All right, write that down. That may be another episode name idea. A sprinkle of Jesus. I feel like, I don't know, we just have so many ideas. I don't know. I mean, I feel like because it's all referenced in this episode, maybe we should make this like the longest episode title ever. You know?
You really could. You really, really could.
Oh, man. Yeah. Seriously, write that down in the document so I don't forget, because I think that might be a good episode name idea for the future. All righty. Yeah. So I'll see you in like about 10 minutes or so for our conversation with Jack and Joe from the Derazzled podcast. But first, Monica from Netflix's Cheer.
So I got to tell you, I just started watching Cheer on Netflix, and it's fabulous. I mean, I love you, and I love the entire concept behind the series, and I like how it makes it clear that there is a serious competitive, like, elite side to cheerleading that we often don't see. I mean, obviously, when we think of cheerleading, we think of like Dallas Cowboys or the good looking high schoolers or whatever. But your show makes it clear that like cheerleading can be taken as seriously as, say, running track or running the Boston Marathon or something like that. And what I also like about the show is that it lets you know that, like, if you want to be like at the best level of cheerleading in terms of the competitive side, it's at like the collegiate level. And I guess I just wanted to know from your perspective, like, how does it feel like getting these aspiring cheerleaders, knowing that you have them like at the peak of their passion? Because I believe like in this series, we get this perception that, the professional side of it is more like just dancing in comparison to the collegiate cheerleading. So how does it feel to know that like, you're really like getting these students at their peak?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a great feeling to know that I have them at their top level. Of course, it is, disappointing that there are not other opportunities at the moment. Although we're working on that, trying to hopefully make some opportunities. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely was highlighted the fact that, when you go into the NFL, that is really dance. It's not, I know they're like you have the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, that's called cheerleaders, but they're really dancers. And those are way different. The two, cheerleading and dance, are two completely different things. Yeah. So, and I think, like you said, a lot of people don't know a lot about cheerleading. There's a stereotype based on all the movies that come out, the Mean Girls, the Bring It On, all of that. There is a stereotype with cheerleading. And, I think that dates back to really the history of cheerleading, because back many, many, many years ago, the only cheerleading that was out there was school-based cheerleading. And a lot of times that was you were chosen through some popular vote, in school or something like that. But, cheerleading has evolved a lot. All-star cheerleading was created, which is like club cheerleading, many years ago. And it's created some of the most talented athletes, in the country.
Absolutely. And while, obviously there's this, big, respect and talent that goes behind competitive cheerleading, we also know in the series that, cheerleading can lead to, some very bad injuries. So I just wonder, like, do you go into every practice, and certainly like going into the national competitions, do you go in like with some amount of nerves, thinking like, oh my God, like anything could happen to my students, it could affect their physical well-being? Like, what's your mindset during that process?
Well, actually we are very safe. I know that in season 1, you saw probably every fall that we had, which I'm sure makes great TV, but really, we actually follow a lot of progressions when we're learning things that you really didn't see in the show. So we always have safety in our mindset, because we are doing, we are throwing people through the air, but we don't do the harder stuff until we make sure we've progressed up to that. So if we're learning something new, whether it's a basket toss or a pyramid, we do progressions where we do something easier, and then we add to it once we know that we safely can do that. So, we have training in safety. The kids are very experienced. So, although it didn't really show that side in the show, we do everything based around that. And so when we're, it's once we've learned something, that's normally not what's at the, hitting it. Yes. But normally we also practice it. It's very strange, but we also practice how to fall safely. I know that sounds funny, but when we're learning pyramids, especially, there's a lot of people involved. So we talk about how we're going to fall. If something doesn't hit the proper way for it to come down safely, to not injure anyone and stuff like that. So that's a big focus that we have in practice.
Yeah. And even though, again, I mean, when it comes to the cheerleading, I mean, you want to have a great stunter, you want to have a great tumbler, and so on and so forth. But also I was watching one of the episodes, and I think you had mentioned that just as important is like the personality and the appearance of the person. Am I correct on that? Because I think you had mentioned that in the one of the first couple episodes with Morgan leaders.
It's at the end of the day, it's a performance. Yes. But within that performance is it's built around athleticism. So there's a lot of components to it. So it requires a lot of practice, a lot of preparation. Obviously, yes, we like to, once we put in hours and hours and hours of work to perfect the athletic part of this routine, then we can start working on the performance value. So once they've built that muscle memory, then they can start working on where they want to perform. Are we going to add a little bit more choreo here? Or are we going to add a little bit more choreo there? But it's kind of like it's stages. You have to get the athletic part's the most important, and it's the hardest part to achieve. And then we can add the performance aspect and really work on that. And then, of course, obviously, we want to look good. We want to have our uniforms nice the way we want them, and, make sure we look clean out there as a team. But that's all kind of at the very, very end. It's the athletic part that takes so much work, because it's very difficult to do that. And we hopefully we make it look very easy at the end of the day, but it only looks that way because we've put the hours in, to hopefully make it look easy, but it's very hard.
Yeah, I bet. And of course, the big moment is the national championship stage. And I think you've won 14 championships since 2000. Do I have that correct?
Yeah. Yes, that is correct. Yes.
Oh my goodness. And what I find breathtaking about that moment is, once your students actually compete on their time, I think it only takes 2 minutes to 2
minutes and 15 seconds. That's right.
So what goes through your head? I mean, if I was in your position, I'd be a nervous wreck. Oh my God, we're putting all this practice time, all these, athletic efforts, and it's only for that 2 minutes, and that 2 minutes can make or break everything. I mean, what is going through your mind at that moment?
It's a very stressful situation, but I have to just let it go, because at that point I have no control. I've done my job. We've prepared. We've done everything that we needed to do back, at our home gym, and now it's up to them. So I just have to trust in them and let it go, and just, unfortunately, I don't really watch for enjoyment. I'm watching for perfection. And so, it's it just goes by this fast.
Yeah. And I think, going back to what you're mentioning about, looking for perfection, I think it's that demand for perfection, at least to me, stands in contrast with how I view your personality going into the show. Because as I'm watching the show, I'm thinking wow, for somebody who demands nothing but the best for her students, there's a calm observationlessness about her. Does that make sense? And I think is that kind of part of why you're called the Bill Belichick of cheerleading? Because I think Bill Belichick for the Patriots has that same quality where it's wow, this guy has won a lot of championships, but when you see him in the media, he just has this very calm, confident, observational way about himself.
Well, I think a lot, and I tell my students that, I'm thinking a lot. So it doesn't mean I'm angry. It doesn't mean I'm upset. It doesn't mean I'm emotionless. I'm just focused. I'm focused on what needs to be done next. And yeah, I try to remain calm, because they're looking to me for direction, number one. And if I panic, that's going to filter out to them. So I definitely, my mind just goes from, if something happens, I immediately go to plan B. What are we going to do? I try to stay out of the panic mode. And if you've watched the entire season of season 1 of Cheer, we have an injury, which has never happened before, ever in my career, at finals. And I will tell you, I was very much panicking inside, but I was not about to show that at all, because I could see the face, the athletes' faces, and I could see their panic, and they were looking to me to be that calm within the storm. So I was, I try to make sure that I'm there to be the calm no matter what's going on.
Yeah. So, so Navarro College in Seneca, Texas, it pretty much has the reputation of being, the destination for the top cheerleading program. And I think I know this story, but let's, kind of explain it for our listeners, why why Navarro College? Why not take your skill, what you've attained as a coach? Like, why not take that to like a big city university instead of like a small community college in Texas?
Well, I definitely, when I was growing up and when I went to college myself, I never thought that I would be coaching. That was not the plan. I went to business school, have a finance degree from the University of Texas at Austin. And so, I was planning on, working in the business world, and ideally my dream was to move to New York City and work on Wall Street. But it just so happened that I ended up at Navarro because a friend of mine reached out to me that was coaching baseball and said, that I should apply for this job. And I was, pretty fresh out of college, and I was working in Dallas, and I wasn't really happy at that job. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to move back home. I'm from Corsicana. I grew up there. My family was there. So I thought, just until I figure out, what I want to do with my business degree, I'll just do this temporarily. But what happened was I got there and, I had goals. Like, I wanted to make this team the best that it could be. I wasn't going to just come in and, waste a little bit of my time there. I wanted to make it the best. And it's like my child. It's like a program that I created. So I'm very much emotionally invested into this program. And, I built it. So I don't want to leave it. I understand a lot of people have asked me like, well, don't you want to go to something bigger and better? And I'm like, no, it's this is what I created. I don't really feel the need to go and take over someone else's program or anything like that. I have put all of my blood, sweat, and tears and time into the program to make it what it is. And it's my family. It's they're all of the people that have gone through this program. They're like my second family. So, it's where my heart is. We don't coach for the money. Okay. So,
Yeah. I mean, you definitely for the talent, for the work ethic. And I think it's even more admirable that you've attained this national reputation out of a small, community, because obviously there's this negative stigma that like, oh, if you come from like a community college or a small town community that, all you're doing is just, kind of biding your time until you make it to the big city. And I like how there are those stories where it's like, no, even in those small communities, you can still make a big difference where the world is looking at you. So that's awesome. I love, not only are you in the Netflix docuseries Cheer, Monica, but also you have a book out called Full Out. And what I love about the book is that you talk about the power of positive self-talk and this $5 planner that can change your life. That caught my attention. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, well, first of all, the power of positive self-talk. I mean, that's so important, especially right now. But I think everybody's gone through a really tough time the past couple of years through this crazy pandemic that we're in. And, your mental health is so important to your quality of life. And a lot of times if you let that outside negative get into your head and right now we have so much negative on social media and the internet. And if you allow that to fill your mind, then that's where your headspace is going to be, in this very negative space. And I don't like that. I want to feel positive. I want to feel good. And I want to enjoy, the life that I have here. And so to me, it's very important to keep your mental health in a positive place. And so not just from the negative that's already out there, but when you're going through a really tough time, whether it's, in a relationship or a struggle, maybe you lost your job or whatever it is, personally that you're going through, you have to sometimes be your own cheerleader and Matt talk yourself. And I've done that quite a bit the past couple of years because I've really had, probably two of the hardest years of my coaching career. And especially, after the show came out, when you're successful, people like to tear you down. And so you just have to remind yourself who you are and be your biggest cheerleader, keep your mental health good and positive.
It was such a great time talking to you. I was looking at the show and I'm like, oh my God, I get to talk to this person. This is great.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We were just talking about Zelda right before we hopped on.
Get out.
Yeah,
Zelda,
I've been playing through the Switch port of Skyward Sword recently, so we were just chatting about that a little bit.
How do you feel about it?
I heard it caught a lot of flack when it was first released. I remember thinking like, okay, maybe I'm not missing anything with this one, and I'm playing it, and like, yeah, there's some annoying stuff in there. Like, there's some mechanics I'm not a big fan of, but overall, it's been fun. I've been enjoying it.
See, I'm a fan of the game. I was not a fan of the dynamic of having to raise the sword to do a specific attack, but everything else about it, I love.
There is some really cool stuff in there. Yeah, like the motion control stuff definitely gets too gimmicky and really annoying sometimes, and like my wrist starts to kill me after a bit. But yeah, so much of that game is a lot of fun.
I love it.
So we're all safe to be nerds here, is what I'm gathering, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
No, I mean, I was going to ask, like, because I've heard so many things about Legends of Zelda, and I mean, here we have, two guys that know a lot about it. So the hype is really worth it, is what I'm hearing.
I'd say it's worth checking out. Yeah, I think the way that they shifted things over so it works with the Switch control scheme. Some of it works, some of it doesn't, but overall, like the story, the visuals, the rest of the gameplay, worth checking out.
Okay. So I know you guys, Jack and Joe from the Durazzle podcast, you guys are primarily a TV and film podcast. I mean, do you occasionally get into video games like that too?
We haven't,
but so we do our main episodes, but we also do like we recast the Mario movie.
Right. Yeah. We'll take little side quest episodes to do like stuff that's outside of our normal purview. So like recasting the Mario movie was one. I think we might do another one on the actual Mario Brothers movie, because that keeps coming up in conversations with us. And it's like we got to dig into that.
It didn't win a Razzie, but it's just such a staple of like being a 90s kid that I would love to see, like, how do we fix this movie that we kind of love, but we know it's bad.
Yeah. So if I remember correctly, and as someone who grew up like most 90s kids playing the Mario video games, I think I vaguely watched that Mario movie you're talking about. I think it came out in 1993. It was a live action movie.
Something like that, yeah.
And I saw a little bit of it on like Disney Channel or whatever TV channel was running. I mean, Andrew, I know, Andrew, you love the Super Mario as well. I mean, do you have a connection with that movie and also with the video game?
It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I have watched it no less than 75 times because I love it so much.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
That is the movie where I fell in love with John Leguizamo.
Yes.
He's so good. I mean, he's bad. He's not a good Luigi, but I love him.
Yeah, and John Leguizamo, I think, didn't he play that weird-looking character in Ice Age? Those movies.
Yeah. Sloth. What the hell was that called?
God, I can't remember the character's name. It's been so long since I've seen those, but yeah, that was definitely him.
Was it Manny?
Yeah,
no.
Manny.
Oh man,
wait,
pulled that out of my head.
Or was he one of the other ones?
I have no idea. He's a fantastic actor, though. I'm upset he doesn't get more work.
Well, he was just in that new Disney movie,
really?
Encanto. He voices the character Bruno.
Nice.
Yeah, I've heard about Encanto and how much buzz it's getting. It's awesome. So I know I listened to the recent episode of your guys' podcast where you had talked about Howard the Duck, and
brand new.
I'm wrong on this. So there is an episode where you touch on the Super Mario's movie and the fact that it has like this the Razzies kind of surrounding it, because I do know that the Razzies is like the Oscars for horrible movies.
Yes,
basically, yeah.
We haven't dealt specifically with the Mario movie yet, but we have. So they're making a new Mario movie, right?
An animated one,
and they've cast those voices, I think, not so great.
Some of them I think are better. Some of the casting I think is better than others, but the idea of Chris Pratt as Mario in particular had the entire internet on fire for a couple of days. So I was like, we got to talk about this.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Pratt, I mean, there's a certain goofy charm about him that I've seen on Parks and Recreation and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, yeah,
so,
absolutely.
I mean, do you guys disagree with him playing Mario? Do you think it's an odd thing?
I think he has a charm and a humor about him, right? Like, I like Parks and Rec. He was great in Guardians of the Galaxy, but his persona doesn't match with my idea of Mario, like the Mario I grew up with. He's a little too goofy.
So there's a couple of reasons why I don't like the casting, and it's partially because I don't think he himself fits the role. But then again, I guess we have to see, kind of wait and see what exactly they're doing with these characters for this take. But the other thing is, like, there's this whole conversation going on in, regarding the casting of big name actors in voice roles when they don't really have a whole lot of voice acting experience. And in the case of Mario, like, you have an iconic voice there he's been cast for over 20 years now. You have Charles Martinet has voiced him since Mario 64 and has just been it just knocked it out of the park.
Absolutely. Andrew, are you familiar with Chris Pratt and this animated Mario movie that's coming out?
So I just found out about the animated Mario movie, like, now, because I didn't realize.
Oh, no.
Other than actually listening to you guys' podcast, I was literally listening while I was working. I was like, okay, you guys got me thinking. And Chris Pratt, to me, I feel like he could be in the movie, but the animation, but let's add him in as like a Hammer Bro or
that I like. Yeah, that rules. I absolutely love that idea.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, let's kind of backtrack. I mean, you guys are it seems like you're a very popular TV and film podcast. I did notice that on the Good Pods podcasting app, you guys were like ranked number 1 on TV and film in terms of that podcast category
for a couple of weeks there. Yeah, we were blown away. Like, it's been we've only been doing this. Like, we've only had the show like live for not even 5 months now, and like, we just hit 2,000 plays this afternoon. We were at number 1 on that chart on Good Pods for like almost a solid 2 weeks. Like, it was, it blows our minds.
Like, Good Pods is such a great community. I'm glad that we found it.
Yeah. It's astounding, like, the way like different indie podcasters get to like interact with each other or interact with their audiences on that platform, and to like kind of see like the individual reviews on each episode and like all that love coming in, like all the communication coming in. It's amazing feedback. It's amazing to help, like an amazing way to help you like direct your content, and this really gives you a great sense of like what people are thinking and what people are enjoying. So that's been a lot of fun.
Well, so explain the seed of this podcast. What made you guys first think, okay, we're passionate about TV and film, let's turn this into a podcast?
Sure. So I have a theater degree, right? So I go to a lot of like stage shows.
Same here.
Nice. And I would like, we were required to see everyone's show, and not all shows are created equal. So I'm watching a show, I'm like, how would, like, there's good parts, there's bad parts. Like, what do they need to do to make this better? Sometimes it's not even like the performers or the direction. It's the script itself needs work. Like I'm forced to sit in the audience for an hour or 2 hours, and I'm trying to entertain myself in that time. Same thing was with movies. Like, when my friends would have me go and see these movies, I know they're going to be bad in theaters. I'm like, how would we fix this? And then we had tried a couple of previous podcasts. Yeah, we used to be roommates, and during that time we had come up with an idea to kind of start seeding an idea for a podcast where we tried to take a film series or a film franchise that had either not had a new entry in its franchise in like over 20 years, or that has just had like a run of just garbage entries, like Hellraiser, for example. It's like hasn't been good since like Hellraiser 2. Like, how do we revive the Hellraiser franchise with Hellraiser 14?
Yeah, so we started playing around with that. We were having a lot of fun, but we were extremely limited in our equipment at the time, and we were recording on a Chromebook, and so like, I don't know if you've ever tried to use Audacity on a Chromebook, but don't. It would crash constantly. We lost so much material like so frequently that we just kind of gave up.
So we kind of simplified that idea down to Derazzled, and we both have writing backgrounds, so we know what works, what doesn't work. And we're like, what movies need the most help? Because you could take like a popular movie that comes out this summer. Like, the Razzies recognize the very worst films. Yeah. So let's really challenge yourselves here.
Yeah, they've kind of done that work for us for the past almost, or over 40 years now. Yeah. So we've got a lot of material to work with. And it just seemed like a really fun way to jump in and, get back to this project that we had kind of left dormant for a while, and, just have fun together as friends and collaborators. It's like we've, like you said, we both have writing backgrounds. We also we've also done a lot of film work together, as Jack is a writer and director, and I act as his producer on set. And we've done music videos and commercials and short films and a feature that's currently in post-production. So we bring a lot of that expertise and that background knowledge to this. So, we have a little bit of an inside view of how the sausage is made, so to speak. Not nearly on the scale that like Hollywood does, but it's fun to kind of think about like what are the possibilities that could have been done here? How would we have approached this?
Like, it's one thing to say this movie's bad. There's a lot of people that can do that. It's another thing to say like, okay, well, if it were in my hands, how would I fix it?
Yeah.
Now, productions that you guys yourself have worked on, you mentioned, having behind the scenes experience, writing and being on set and stuff like that. I mean, would you guys review that on your own podcast, or would you think that's like a conflict of interest, and would you prefer to review things that? Yeah, go ahead.
We actually were planning on doing that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Like that was something we had in the schedule. Is it still there?
It got bumped just because we had so many guest spots.
Yeah, it might be. I think it might be something that we're going to do between seasons, just as like some additional content to kind of keep things moving while we prep for our actual season 2.
We want to be fair. If we're gonna take a bite at somebody else's film, we want to put our own stuff through the ringer, and we know we could do better.
Yeah,
we're older. Sorry, was that?
So the title of the podcast, I imagine, Derazzled. I mean, that's coming from the concept of the Razzies. Mm-hmm. So are you guys purely there to say like, oh my God, let's talk about how awful these TV shows and movies are, or is it a balance of like, all right, we're going to talk about some awful things and we're going to talk about some great things that we admire?
Definitely a balance. We try really hard to find what works about the different movies that we talk about, because there usually is something to praise in amongst like the various failings or mistakes that are made, or whatever other like offset issues are plaguing a production. There's usually something in there. Like, I think one of my favorite things that we discovered was when we did Battlefield Earth for our second episode, which was entirely biting off more than we could chew on that second episode.
Early on, yeah.
Our favorite thing was that Forrest Whitaker absolutely kills it.
He's so good.
He's so good.
Bad movie.
He did not need to go that hard, but that man crushed it. Like, yeah, he's so good in it. He, like, everything else around him is garbage in that movie, but he's just great.
Like, you have hundreds of people working on these films. Someone has to be doing something right.
Right.
I love it. Andrew,
Forrest Whitaker.
I 100% agree. The movie was terrible. I love Battlefield Earth so much, and I was like, I can't do this. But I wanted to ask you guys, is there like a specific genre of movie that sticks out to each of you that you like to look at more and see what you can improve on more and change?
I think for me, I naturally, regardless of whether the movie's good or not, I prefer to lean towards horror and sci-fi. And that feels like the Razzies tend to lean that way as well. We don't get too many straight dramas.
I mean, there are definitely some in there.
There's some in there.
We've touched on a couple peripherally. Like in our Nothing But Trouble episode, we went on a bit of a sidetrack about Bonfire of the Vanities, because those two productions are like intimately intertwined with each other for like whatever reason.
I can't wait to do Mommy Dearest.
Oh, I'm so excited to do Mommy Dearest. Mommy Dearest is going to be wild.
Yeah.
What's Mommy Dearest going to be about?
Mommy Dearest is a movie from the, I want to say early 80s.
Early 80s, yeah.
It's known for being very campy. I'm not super familiar with the plot of that one.
I think the quick version of it is just like a like offer rocker, like wildly abusive mother is like the focus of the film. I thought like the one thing I still have not seen the entire movie myself, but the one thing that sticks out in my mind just because of like pop culture consciousness is just her shouting, "No wire hangers."
I always wonder about campy movies, because and I'll use the 1960s Batman TV series as an example.
Excellent.
Because like I feel like you can either look at it as like, oh my God, that's so awful, and they don't even know it's awful. It's so over the top.
Yeah.
But also look at it as, well, no, that's intentional. They want it to be outlandish and over the top. So I guess with campy movies like Mommy Dearest, like, do you approach it from, oh, like they're not aware that this is campy, or do you approach it from, oh, I think they're aware that this is campy?
I think we both have a very strong appreciation for camp because we're both really big John Waters fans. So I think like we both appreciate camp when it's done well. So I think our approach would be how do we help that camp land the way that it needs to?
So right now we're working on Spice World, which it's campy to a degree, but it could be campier.
Oh, Andrew, you held your hand to your heart. Are you familiar with Spice World?
So, Spice World, guys, if you don't know, I am gay, and I'm real gay. And Spice, it's a fantastic movie to me. Also, Mommy Dearest, and John, if you want to see perform every scene of Mommy Dearest, come up here to New York. Equal in the gay community because it's so good and so campy. But Spice World, give it to me on a platter. I would eat it all day.
See, I have some nostalgia for it myself because my stepsisters and my sister would watch it all the time when we were growing up, and I would sit and watch it with them because I would also make them watch all the nonsense I wanted to watch. So it was like, okay, yeah, I'll sit here and watch it. So like I had parts of it had stuck in my memory like really well, and then other parts had not. Like there was so much of that movie that I forgot. Specifically, like that the guy that played Riff Raff in Rocky Horror is like the paparazzi photographer that follows them around.
Like we don't want to take the camp out of it. We just want to inject more camp.
Okay.
It's definitely one of the easy. Sorry, what's that?
No. I was just saying. So I guess as someone who's not familiar with Spice World, I've never seen it. Like if you had to give me like sort of like elevator speech or just like maybe like 2 or 3 adjectives to describe it to like hook me onto the movie, what would it be? Because now I'm really curious about it.
So the
first of all, there really isn't a plot. So
it's extremely thin. Yeah, the plot is like painfully thin in some ways. The short version is that the Spice Girls are about to play like the biggest show of their careers, and a tabloid like muckraking like journalist or like like almost like a J. Jonah Jameson type. It decides he wants to build up sales and attention on his paper by smearing them and ruining their careers.
And that's the thinnest plot that they travel on, but it's a lot of little scenes of the Spice Girls run into aliens, the Spice Girls run into Elton John, the Spice Girls sing on a boat. It's just like, how do we fill this space with ridiculous hijinks before we get to the end?
My favorite parts are the cuts, like the cutaway bits they do, because they have people like they have people like Hugh Laurie and Stephen Fry playing up like they have Hugh Laurie playing like a Hercule Poirot type detective. At one point, they have Stephen Fry playing like an old-timey British judge, handing down the most ridiculous sentence that he possibly could to a pop band.
Don't forget the boot camp sequence.
The boot camp sequence with like the dancing discount Arlie Ermy is very fun.
Yeah, I like that. Here's a question I have about like how you guys prepare for your reviews of these films and TV shows on your podcast. So in listening to your recent episode, I was taken by the ease, like the chemistry, like the natural conversational nature that you guys have. And I guess I was wondering, like, especially since you guys have that writing background, before you go into an episode, do you like say, okay, this is like something we're going to write down as for like how we're going to review this show? Or do you just kind of like riff, naturally, like stream of consciousness, whatever comes to your head about the particular project that you're reviewing?
It's a little of both. So depending on the section, it's scripted. So with the summary, we break it up into acts because of course we're a movie podcast. So act 1 is heavily scripted. Act 3 is heavily scripted because that's the script, that's the fix. And then everything in the middle, it depends on the project we're working on. So when we did Howard the Duck, we knew that there was all this comic book history that we wanted to touch on. Obviously when we do Spice Girls, we'll want to touch on why they were so important, why they were big.
why they were the cultural tour de force that they were at the time. Yeah.
And a little bit of like how that ended and where they are now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like we have kind of like a formula for like how we structure the episodes, and Jack will go in and he'll do like a much more scripted like summary of the film and then the actual fix of it. Aside from that, like we have a structure for like when we typically talk about like the Rotten Tomatoes scores, when we typically talk about what works and what doesn't work about the movie. But outside of that, a lot of it is conversational. A lot of it is improv and riffing and just kind of having fun with each other, because that's just something that we do in our free time anyway. Like when we lived together, like it was pretty much nonstop conversations like this when we weren't watching episodes of the Venture Brothers.
Yeah. Are there any influences in the world of TV and film criticism that you guys like to kind of draw upon for your podcast? Any critics that you kind of grew up admiring and kind
That's
of
a good question.
No. I love to hear people talk about film. So I tend to go towards listening to directors talk. Critics specific. We did talk about like why critics are the way they are. But most of my learning how to critique things came from the theater background. Where we would all watch each other's shows, sit down, say like, you had to say what worked and you had to say what didn't work. Because a lot of people jump either straight to it's so good, it's good, it's good, or it's so bad, it's bad, it's bad. You have to explain why that is. And I feel with certain film critics, it's a lot of how do they make their own ego, their own voice come through. I'm like, I'm not here for your voice. I'm here to learn like what worked and what didn't work for the film.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes, Andrew.
Now, when you guys are going to sit down and individually or together and prepare to watch a movie that you're going to review, or maybe it's a new movie or a movie that you just haven't seen, do you kind of put yourself in what I would say a media blackout is like a new movie's coming out, you don't watch the trailers or you don't look at anything that's involved in the social media so you can go in with an open mindset, or do you like to look at things that are previewing first?
That's a tough one, because we haven't done anything that's like super current just yet. Like everything that we've done, I think the newest movie that we've covered is
Saving Christmas. Unfortunately,
Saving Christmas is I forgot. God, I keep wanting to block that out of my mind, but probably Cats is the most recent that we did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cats was the most recent one.
So I think.
Go ahead.
I think that we. I wouldn't say we necessarily go in blind, but I don't think that we like seek out a whole lot of information before watching the movie either. Like I think we've once or twice watched a
like a making of,
like a making of kind of thing before going in. And I know when we did The Last Airbender, you started watching season 1 of Avatar: The Last Airbender, so you had that comparison.
With like Battlefield Earth, I tried to read the book going in. With Avatar: The Last Airbender, I tried to watch the show because a lot of the reason people were upset was because it didn't match the show. In
Understatement.
A perfect world, I would not know anything going into a movie other than the title. Like if Joe could be my my taste tester for films, be like, Joe or Jack, you're gonna like that one. Like, great. So I can experience it in its like purest, non-judgmental form. So typically, because that doesn't happen, I will watch the first trailer that comes out or even just the first teaser and judge based on that whether or not I want to watch a movie. For the podcast, it's like, well, what kind of crappy movie matches the host or the guest's personality?
If we have a guest.
If we have a guest, yeah.
Now, you guys had me thinking of, you mentioned Cats, and and I mean, the thing about Cats is that it's not, it wasn't a standalone movie. It's obviously based on a long-running Broadway musical. Yep. However, Jack, I'm pointing at Jack. You're the one on the right, Jack?
I'm the one with the plaid.
Okay, just making sure. So, Jack, you being from the theater community, maybe you're familiar with the reputation that Cats has, which is like it's this silly show with no plot whatsoever.
Yeah,
So, I guess unless you liked Cats, did you like Cats? Like, are you a big fan of-
No, not at all.
Because I tried to watch the Broadway musical on DVD. I think after like about 5 minutes, I just gave up on it because it just didn't seem like it was going to be something I was interested in. So having that as its base, like once the movie version came out with like Taylor Swift, Jason Derulo, all these big stars, James Corden, were you going into it thinking, okay, this is going to be a shit show because it's Cats, or did you think, all right, there seems to be a lot of hype around this movie. I think this might be something.
Well, here's what you did wrong. You watch the movie Cats first, then you watch the stage show, and you're like, this is refreshing. I'm like, I'm a theater person, but I'm a bad theater person. I think the way you framed it was that it was haha, I was a film guy the whole time. Right. Yeah. Like I was like, I snuck in there. I'm like, I'm stealing all your tricks, but I don't care about any of the musicals, especially Cats. But my best friend is a musical director. So anytime I'm going to do something in that realm, he's like, so here's what you need to know about Cats. And we actually had him guest on the show because I'm like, I'm not going to be able to put it better than you did. Rob brought a lot of additional background knowledge that neither of us had. So he was an invaluable guest for that one. But that'll happen a lot where you'll have the source material is so bad for something that you're like, you're not going to, unless you throw it away and start from scratch, the movie's going to be bad. Like you can't fix it unless you throw the entire thing away. Yep.
Yeah. What was wrong with the Cats movie? I mean, taking aside the fact that like, there's no story in Cats. Mm-hmm. What went wrong? Because even though I knew that Cats, the musical itself, maybe not the best musical, like the hype surrounding it, it seemed like, okay, like they're going to do something different with this movie and it's going to be great. Like, what do you think made that movie fall apart besides the story itself?
I think the shortest answer is that Tom Hooper as a director really didn't know he really doesn't truly understand how to adapt a musical for film. The degree to which he cut out connective material in the music that was really important, the degree to which the visuals are blinding and nonsensical to an extent, I think. And his overall treatment of like the visual effects team, I think he was in over his head and unwilling to accept that. I think the thing that screwed them the most was that they gave the CGI department no time to do their job. Yeah. So a lot of what the movie is known for is how this like uncanny valley feel to the effects, and the effects team was like, we need like years to do what you're asking. And he's like, well, you got 2 months.
Wow. That's insane.
They gave them an absurdly small amount of time.
Yeah. Oh Lord. Yeah. So Andrew, are you familiar with the Cats, the singing and dancing Cats?
I am. I never watched the full movie. I started it and fell asleep and I was like, okay, like an IPA here to me. I don't understand it, but it's out there. And maybe someone will like it. Maybe someone doesn't. But the songs in Cats, I know because I've listened since I was a kid when they came out. And I was like, these songs in the musical are amazing. So I don't really feel like what I saw in the movie before falling asleep really paid justice to that. And then the look of the cats and the characters, I was just like, okay, this is kind of creepy. I don't want to look at that.
That's the other thing I was going to say about it is that they didn't give enough time to make the movie, but they also made the movie way too late. Like if they'd made this either when Cats had first come out or even in the 90s, I think it would have had more of a draw. It's almost this weird relic of theater now because we don't do musicals like Cats anymore.
Now, I don't know. I mean, God, it's like with musical movies, it could go either way. Like I feel like it could either be a phenomenal otherworldly experience, or because you're trying to capture the musical theater experience on film, it could turn into a disaster. Yeah. I mean, is that kind of why you guys are like to reviewing musical movies? Is because it's just sometimes, well, not sometimes, but most of the time, it's hard to get it right.
I think in general it is difficult to adapt from stage to screen, especially a musical, because being in the same space as where the musical is happening, that's what makes it so enjoyable, is you're feeding off of the actors. being in the audience. The actors are feeding off of you, the audience, and you don't have that in a film. I'm not against derazzing any further musicals. Might give it a minute just because Cats was phenomenally bad.
Cats took us so long to actually put the episode together for, in terms of like the research we had to do and the prep work, because we ended up doing a lot more research on that one, because you not only have the film to deal with, you not only have the stage show to deal with, but you also have the original T.S. Eliot book of poems to deal with, because that all dates back to like the early 20th century, to like these old poems that he wrote for his godchildren, that probably weren't initially meant to be published, but then like he started sending them out and testing them on like the letterhead of the publishing house that he worked for, and so on. It gets so weird, but like the constant thread through all of it is like there's nothing connecting these. This is like, there's no plot or like there's no real story happening here. But all of it took us so long that it like completely pushed back our production schedule. Like we were supposed to take a break in December, and then we ended up releasing 4 consecutive episodes.
That's why Mommy Dearest isn't happening this season, because of Cats.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, those damn cats. So, and actually, you know what? Speaking of research, like, because that's a big part of TV and film criticism is research and looking into everything and knowing what you're talking about. Do you guys enjoy that process, or is it just like, oh my God, research, so much time and effort, and like, how do you feel about that process?
I love it.
Yeah, I enjoy it too. I think the thing that we've suffered from over the past couple months is that Jack has had to take on the bulk of the research. Just because I had been working a job that was working me like 80, 90 hours a week that I just recently left. So I can jump in and start joining in on that process of research again. But I think that's part of what made like the last couple of episodes, like particularly like Cats and Saving Christmas, like so difficult, is that like Jack had to do all of that alone essentially. And I felt really bad about that. But I also took the edit.
Yeah, you take the edit, which I hate. So I have no problem with that. I like doing the research because, you know, first we watch the movie and you're like, wow, that was really bad. And then the research, you find out why. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, Spice World there really wasn't a reason. It just kind of wasn't good.
I'm sorry, Andrew, you got a question?
Now, would you guys have a movie fact or something that you found through your research that you would consider the most surprising or shocking to you?
Well, there's been a couple that we found that were like genuinely fascinating. I think I have a tie for my favorite. One was from Battlefield Earth, that there was a producer on that film who was actually like a dry cleaner from Turkey, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so,
who embezzled like half of the budget on German art or German stocks.
It was
German
stocks.
So that's part of the reason why that movie's terrible, is because they lost half their money on this guy embezzling it. And then my other favorite is from Nothing But Trouble. So Dan Aykroyd did not want to direct that movie. Like he tried to pass it off to a number of different directors, and like a bunch of people were like, "Oh no, I love the script, but no, I only do my own work," or like, "No, this sounds terrible. I want nothing to do with it." So to keep the deal going, he agreed to take on the director's seat. And part of his efforts as the director and also a producer was to just greenlight everything that the tech crew wanted to do. So like there's a working roller coaster in that movie. It's like part of the set because he didn't tell these people no. Like there were people on the crew who were like, this is the best job I've ever had. I love this. To the point that when Chevy Chase started to like be a prima donna on set and like disparage Dan Aykroyd because he's getting paid less than himself, the crew offered to like maim him, like to back up Dan Aykroyd.
Wow. I officially love for that movie now.
That Nothing But Trouble is the one movie that we've watched so far, and like I genuinely like this movie now.
I don't know. I kind of felt that way about parts of Howard the Duck. I know you didn't like it quite as much on your second viewing.
Yeah.
But Nothing But Trouble is still like that was so much fun.
Like all the movies we've watched so far. I'm like, I'm so glad I never have to see that again, except for Nothing But Trouble. I'm like, I'll probably watch that again.
Yeah. I'm interested to see that Blu-ray that got put out.
Oh my goodness, I like that. So, Jack and Joe from the Derazzled podcast, and by the way, Derazzled, Derazzled. Definitely find a good podcast. It's such an awesome listening experience. I love it. What is the TV show or film that you're reviewing next for your next episode?
We're doing Spice World, and then after that, we are going to cover this year's Razzie nominations.
Yeah, they're announcing them like the day before we do the next episode. So it's like the timing is beautifully perfect.
Now, if it weren't for the Razzies, let's say like if the Razzie Awards did not exist, like would you guys still like? Do you guys think you'll still be doing the kind of podcast you do?
It might be a little different. It might be more akin to like the original idea for a show that we had, but I think we would still be doing it. I think I know I think we both love this project.
Yeah.
We have a lot of fun with it. I know Jack doesn't like editing, but I've found that I love like that whole process and getting to like form the episode and build it up into like this, this thing that people get to consume and get to check out and enjoy. And
I like taking a film, breaking it down to its barest parts, picking out the pieces that work and rebuilding it.
Because a lot of this is stuff that we would probably be doing in casual conversation anyway. Just like whether it was just the two of us or like us and another group of friends, but it's just there's something much more fulfilling, I think, about doing it in this structured manner and like doing something greater with it and like putting it out into the world like this.
I think the thing that the Razzies have done for us is I never would have picked Cats. Like that is not a movie I would ask anyone to try to fix. But it challenges me as a writer to look at a thing that I'm out of my depth on and do it anyway. Try it. Same thing with Saving Christmas. I would never try to rewrite a evangelical propaganda movie, but hey, we did.
Well, I mean,
we did.
I mean, you wrote a sequel that erased it from existence, but
you're welcome.
So this might be a silly question since your podcast is basically like influenced by, the idea of the Razzies, but I've always wondered about the Razzies, like in terms of like, is it just cruel? Is there a certain cruelty to just saying, oh, these are the most terrible movies of the year? Like these directors and producers, they may have worked hard on it, but they're terrible. Or do you think it's very healthy for that kind of criticism to come out there just so maybe those directors and producers can learn from it and try to make a better movie next time?
I would not describe the Razzies as a classy organization.
No. I think that there is something to be said for like pointing out like, hey, yeah, this was a really bad movie, like among everything that got released this year. Like there can be some value from that. And I think that's a lot of what we look for is like, what can be learned from those failures or what good came along with those failures. But the Razzies themselves,
they're more of an outline for us than in something we idolize.
They're not a guiding principle for us. They're more of like a I'm trying to think of a good metaphor.
They're a buffet of bad movies that we just kind of like pick and choose.
Kinda, yeah.
But they can come across as malicious, and that's something that we don't want to do.
That's something that we've openly criticized a number of times too. Like there are times where like they'll put in like a joke nomination for like if somebody appears in drag in a movie, they'll like nominate them along with the women that are being nominated,
or with Howard
the Duck. They gave like an ensemble award to like everyone who was in the duck suit, which is like that's grossly unfair.
Yeah,
like that's like it's
especially once you know the work that went into maybe the suit. It was creepy, but the amount of work that went into making that duck suit and the technology that was made that came out of the process. So
so in some ways like we'll use we'll use the Razzies as kind of like a like not as a roadmap, but as like sideshow attractions along that roadmap to help kind of guide where we're going to go, and then we figure out the path to actually get there and get there effectively and get there in a way that that is satisfying and it isn't just like a cheap shot or a snide jab.
Gotcha. And I'm sure, and maybe this will be the last question I ask. And Andrew, you can always jump in if you have one final question to ask. There may be aspiring or present podcasters that are looking to you guys as inspiration. Like how did they get from being one of many unknown podcasters to suddenly being number one in the TV and film category on the Good Pods podcasting app? What would be your advice to those aspiring people looking to create content and have some kind of a following?
I think it's absolutely community.
Yeah, 100%. That's been the strongest move we've made, I think, is like through social media, like just connecting with other podcasters. Like Jack interacts with a lot of people through like groups on Facebook. I do a lot of stuff through Twitter, communicating with other indie podcasters, and that has translated into like success on Good Pods. That's translated into new opportunities to collaborate with people and to do cool stuff that we might not have otherwise done, and has pushed us to make our show the best possible thing that it can be. It gives us more gas in the tank.
In general, with everything that we work, because we both work on different projects, other projects beyond the podcast, and I'm a bit of a hypocrite saying this, but I try to work on just making the product the highest quality I can and not worry about the numbers. The numbers will come. I know we were just talking about this earlier.
Yeah, we were just talking about this earlier.
I feel like we got a really good podcast, but like, where's the audience? And I know, like, let's just keep working on making the podcast solid.
And the reality is, like, we've built a small but dedicated audience. Like we have a good number of people who who will openly tell us, like, yeah, I can't wait to see what you do with this. Whenever we first announced that we're like doing a watch along for something, or that we've picked our next movie, or whatever it is that we've announced coming down the pipeline. We have people that are actively subscribing and listening and engaging and sharing. Even like there's several other podcasters that just like openly, just put our stuff out there, like as though it were their own in some cases. And it's just, I mean, not that they're trying to steal or anything, just like they just really like they love it that much and want to celebrate it that much that they, it's just wild to see like this goofy little show that we decided to do has started building some traction.
Good. Well, I'm so happy for you guys from one podcaster to another, and I'm pretty sure Andrew will agree in that sense. So thank you. I mean, Jack and Joe from the Derazzled, DERAZZLED. Find them wherever you get podcasts. If you want some wonderful, entertaining, conversational criticism on TV shows, movies, they're really the destination that you need to go to. Thank you guys so much for your time, man. I mean, and take care and enjoy the Steelers, because that's all I know about Pittsburgh.
The Anything Show with John Francois is on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get podcasts. Join us on YouTube, Facebook.com/The Anything Show, and Instagram and TikTok @Anything Show Francois. Join Andrew Vandertunt on Lifestyle of a Gay Black Boy wherever you get podcasts, and on Instagram and TikTok @AJ Vandertunt.